Welcome, everyone, to another edition of For the Sake of Heaviness. My name is Butch Balich, here with my erstwhile partner in crime.
As always, I am Merciful Mike.
Tonight, we are here with Melissa Pinion and Andy Hicks from the awesome Stygian Crown
What's
from
going
Los
on?
Angeles, California. How are you tonight?
Very good. How are you doing?
Great. Can't
Doing good.
complain.
Very, very good.
Awesome. Um, I guess let's just jump right in and get well, let's start with this. I had the fortune of with Argus sharing the stage with you up in Massachusetts in Worcester, the Stormbringer Festival, and then I got to see you here in Pittsburgh on your tour. So why don't we start by tell us a little bit about how the tour went? Like it was called the Candle Thrower Tour, and you
Yes.
guys had about five or six shows, six, seven,
It was 8 shows
eight
in
shows.
9 dates. We started in Brooklyn and ended in Baltimore with the Maryland Doom Fest.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And it was kind of our first time doing something that was, so about a year ago, we did a 3-date thing up on the West Coast. And that gave us a taste. So this was a little bit longer. And, it involved a fly in and a fly out. So it was a first experience for me. It kind of, I don't know if you would call it long touring, but it was a longer experience for me, and it was pretty eye-opening, but a really good learning experience too. Um, I don't know, Andy, did you want to say something about that?
I like touring on the East Coast because the drives are short. On the
Absolutely.
West Coast, you finish your show and you hop back in the van, get to your next spot, and that's a 14-hour drive, and
Yeah.
you're just taking turns sleeping in the van until you're in the
Yeah.
next state or city that is on the bill. So
Big
yeah, East
difference in
Coast is nice.
geography.
Yeah,
Did you
Yeah.
guys drive all the way to the East Coast, or did you catch a plane to a
no,
certain starting
No,
point?
we flew in. The
Okay.
most of the
Okay.
guys flew into all of you guys flew into Baltimore, right?
right.
And then I flew in a couple of days early to LaGuardia to just kind of do the tourist thing in New York. So
I got you. Okay.
Claudia.
Andy and I were talking just a little bit before we jumped on, and I love your little documentary video that you guys did throughout the tour. And
no.
the, what a bummer to end on with that ticket in Ohio. That kind of
Yeah,
sucked.
Ohio. It's a very
Yay.
expensive tour stop. Or Nelson anyway. So
Yeah,
Yeah, they
that sucked.
essentially told us don't come back to our state. So like, okay, sorry,
it was
trying to
yeah,
play music.
we were on the way to Baltimore, right, Andy?
Yeah.
And then yeah, we were just driving along. We were all really tired at that point because it was the last day of the tour. And then Andy's all of a sudden, "Why are we pulling over?" And Rhett's like, "Because Nelson's getting pulled over by the cops." I'm like, "Oh, great."
Yikes. I mean, how did you so how the tour go overall, like in terms of how were the shows and any favorite memories, stories from that tour or favorite memories of it or
Oh, the shows were all great. Especially like a highlight has to be the Stormbringer Festival. It's like a real bummer that is potentially the last one.
yes, it
I I
is.
re I really liked it. The crowd was awesome. That was the first show where we were going to see like an authentic reaction to our little medley that we had put together. That's like the namesake of the tour, the Candle Thrower tour. We were doing a candle mass bolt thrower mashup, and it got such a big pop at that show. That was really exciting, and we just knew that it was going to do well every night of the tour.
And it was cool because there was this younger guy there who he told us, and Andy, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he specifically came to that show because he saw a clip of us doing that bolt thrower song, and he showed up in the front row wearing a bolt thrower shirt. So that was pretty cool.
Right? Yeah,
Plus, you
Yeah, I
guys got
felt
to play with Butch and Argus too.
yeah, it was
That was
awesome.
really cool. Yeah, Butch, I was like scouring the internet because I could have sworn that both of our bands were on a flyer previous to this, but I couldn't recall what it was. Because there was like this period of time, like in 2020, 2021, when flyers were changing
Yeah,
like 3 or 4 times. But I feel like we were originally slated to play on another show. I just can't remember what it was. Um, but I'm glad we
man.
finally got to play, even though I didn't actually get to see you guys. It was cool to at least meet you. So
Yeah, that was a really cool festival. And I'm with you guys that I wish it could keep going, and especially like it was cool playing outside. I think it's the first time I played outside in a while. I was glad that rain stayed
yeah.
away on Saturday when you guys played. I really dug your set. That's my first time seeing you live, and the I don't know. I'm not as well versed in bolt thrower as and they were like a later. Back when I was a teenager and when I was in college when I first started hearing death metal, I was like um horrified is the word by the vocals in most of those bands. And then over the years, like I've progressively been, through exposure therapy, um I would find I would find things to like in a bit, like in Entombed, and I'd be like, oh, okay, I like this guy's, I like Lars Goran Petrov's voice, and I like that. Or it was like getting adjusted to Lee Dorian was like a gateway, just because he, early on used that really guttural voice, but then he got more he um smoothed it out a little bit as he went. But so as the years have gone on, I've gotten into death metal a little bit more, and like so Bolt Thrower. So in the crowd. I'm like, when you started playing Well of Souls, I'm like, this is a awesome cover. And then in the middle, I'm like,
What is this?
it's been a while. I must not have listened to Well of Souls for a while, because I'm like, I don't know. Now
Yeah.
and I do have severe memory lapses now that I'm that at of AARP
You
age.
weren't
So
the only one. There were clips where like you'd see people in the front row and they're like into it, and then they're like, wait a minute, what happened? Yeah. So yeah, that was hilarious.
yeah, I really, like I said, really enjoyed the set, and I thought the set in Pittsburgh was great too. I was really glad that you guys were coming through town here. Um,
Yeah.
that show seemed to be. I thought that show overall went pretty well. What was that, like a Wednesday night?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's not bad for a weekday.
the
Yeah,
Poetry
was it?
Lounge, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
at the Poetry Lounge.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was
that was
great.
cool. That was a fun night.
You guys
I
got to
think,
play with our friends Oro Druin up in Rochester too, right?
yeah, those were really cool guys. Really great set too.
Those
I
dudes are
think that was,
sweethearts.
Yeah.
yeah. I think that was one of my favorite parts about being on this tour is just meeting all the other musicians and just feeling the camaraderie and then of course meeting people, who we only knew from the internet, who, we finally got to meet in person. So those were really great experiences for all of us, I think.
Yeah, I think it's a good scene. Overall, there's so many cool people and so few assholes.
Hmm.
It seems like we bumped up against a few of them over the years, but there doesn't seem to be too many. Like generally, everyone I've met has been super cool. So, and that's what that's why I like those festivals. Like the the bad part about a festival, of course, is you start talking to people in the other bands and people that are there, and then next thing you know, you're like, oh shit, I just missed half of
Yeah.
Blood Feast, or
Right.
half of this, or so. But yeah, it was cool. How was Maryland Death Fest? I'm an idiot.
We would
the
like to play
Maryland
Maryland Death Fest.
the Maryland Doom Fest. You guys are heavy enough.
Agreed.
I think so. But yeah, that was a good one too. It was ruthlessly hot that day, and
Yeah, no AC in that club. And it was very humid and hot that day. So
Holy shit.
yeah, that was really brutal. But what was interesting about that show is a lot of the bands were like these stoner
I
bands. And it was a
I
lot
think
different. Go ahead, Andy.
A lot might actually even be an understatement. I believe we were the only like traditional Doom band.
Yeah, I mean,
Everybody,
it was the exact opposite of Hammer of Doom. Like Hammer of Doom was
Mhm.
all epic and traditional Doom, and this
Yeah.
was all
Yeah.
stoner bands, and we felt like kind of out of place. But people who liked us, they made a point to come up to us after and thank us for coming there. So
That's
that was
awesome.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the United States is um the doom scene, as it were, gears a little bit more towards that, either the stoner side or sludgy. Like there aren't a ton of epic doom metal bands that are doing it well. There's you guys, there's Crypt Sermon. If I'm leaving anyone out, someone kick me under the table before I embarrass myself. But um it's tough. I mean,
Early
because
moods.
Yeah.
Early Moods is great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's actually nice to see um bands like that putting records out now, because for a while I found myself personally, I kind of got like, I was like, for a long time, I was like real into, I mean, I've always been into Doom, but for a while it was kind of like, there's not as much for me out there to listen to, like, or nothing scratching that itch, like, and so it's good that there are good bands out there doing it, because it kind of like reinvigorates my love of Doom again. So,
Mhm.
I think there was a point too where there was a lot of Electric Wizard worship. Nothing against them, but it just seemed to focus on how low can we tune, how heavy can I get a riff, and it was just a lot of cookie cutter for a while, and a lot of people kind of forgot to be a little bit more creative. So I think that there's a little bit more of an upswing, which includes you guys and the bands that Butch mentioned, Professor Emeritus, and I could throw a whole bunch of names out there, but yeah, I think it got a little stagnant there for a while. So I am glad to see that there's a lot more creativeness coming out these days.
yeah, the
Yeah.
focus on good, strong vocals is
There you
great too. I love your voice,
Thank you.
Melissa. It's
I like yours too.
thanks.
go.
I wasn't looking for the mutual back scratch, but I'll take it, because
No,
I don't get
I
it too much, except
appreciate
from my wife and
I
Mike once in a while.
appreciate the CDs. I've been listening to them and just appreciating that. It's really cool to hear how other people interpret the genre. So
You know what? I like your voice, Mike.
My voice. Okay.
And now you tell me
Andy, I love your voice.
thank you.
I
Yes.
love your
are you
guitar
guys
playing, Andy. I
are
mean,
you guys gonna sing now?
We need some appreciation too, Andy.
I
Yeah.
wasn't trying to leave you out, brother.
Maybe me and Andy will go into a breakout room and you guys can carry it.
Yeah, singers gotta commiserate. Singers gotta commiserate. Um, hey, well, let's step back for a second. The band formed around 2018, if I'm
Yes.
correct. It
Right.
looks like I saw some information online. Rhett had been trying to, start forming the band around 2013, but you guys came together in 2018. Same lineup, except for the switch to Eric in bass around 23.
Yes.
Right. Yep.
Awesome. And so you had that one 3-song demo in 2018, and then Cruz Del Sur put out your first album in 2020. How did you approach Enrico? Or even like sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Talk a little bit about the formation of the band and how you guys met and started, moving down this road that you're on now.
Well, Andy, you were here first, so you want to go on that
Yeah.
one?
You're right. It was around 2013 when Rhett was really trying to put this together. He had a whole bunch of lineup changes, more than I think anyone really remembers. He just had been wanting to do something different than Gravehill. I mean, he was loving Gravehill, but he has this like other Doom itch that wasn't being scratched, and he had been trying to find the lineup. He had found some guys within Gravehill that were working, but needed a singer and another guitar player. And I had just finished working with Gravehill as a not like a fill-in guitar player, but they were preparing to go on tour, and their other guitar player who lived out of state was not able to rehearse with them to prep for the tour, and they knew me through some other bands that we had played shows together, and asked me if I would help them prep for tour. So we did that, and when they came back, Rhett hit me up and was like, "Hey, do you want to? I think you'd actually fit really well for this Doom thing." I hopped on that, which I was so excited. I mean, I love Doom more than I love death metal, so I was happy to do that. We had the whole demo written, minus the vocal part. Well, actually recorded too, minus the vocals, and could not find a singer that was really matching what we wanted to do. And one night after rehearsal, we got a text from, I think, Lily, who's Rhett's wife, and she had just seen a show that Melissa had played, and she sent us this clip of Melissa singing "Hallowed Be Thy Name," and it was incredible. Nice. And we were just like, "Can you go ask her if she wants to be in a metal band with us?" Yeah. So
you ask her if she likes me.
Yeah.
So I was working my day job, and all of a sudden I got a friend request on Facebook from Rhett. And Rhett I had known for a number of years through a mutual friend, but we weren't like, close friends or anything. We were just kind of like, we just knew of each other and stuff. And so he messaged me, and his first question is, "Do you like Candlemass?" And I said, "I've never heard Candlemass. I've heard of them, but I've never listened to any of their stuff." And he said, "Well, check this out. Are you interested?" And I said, "I'll check it out." And it was amazing. The demo, no vocals on it, just music. And so I'm like, well, this is kind of stepping out of my comfort zone, because I'd spent much of my career just doing cover bands and tribute bands and stuff like that. And I had written some music, but nothing in this genre. And so it was kind of like, okay, I'll try this out. And it just kind of clicked, and we recorded the EP, the vocals on the EP, and the guys were into it. So it worked out really well.
Awesome. How did you approach Cruz Del Sur with the material, and how'd the deal come about?
I think we shopped that to one label, and then they handed us over to Tom Phillips. Was that how it worked, Andy?
That sounds right.
Yeah, he was working with them at the time.
Yeah, so Tom was the scout for Cruz Del Sur at the time, and so this other label handed us over to Tom, and then Tom pitched us to Enrico, and that's how that got started. So
great label. Yeah. Enrico's fantastic.
Yeah, we love working with him.
Tom's got good ears, so
yeah, absolutely.
That's good. How is so the self-titled record came out in 2020. I really enjoy the record. How was the when the record came out, how did you find the response to it, and how'd that go for you?
It was an interesting time because we released it in the middle of the pandemic. So we didn't get to have a release party, we didn't get to go out on tour right away. And there were, festivals that wanted us, that were inviting us to come play, that we couldn't come play because we couldn't travel overseas. So it was kind of this exciting time for us, but at the same time, we couldn't really experience it the way a band should. And so, 2020 kind of, it came up on us, and we released the album, and, the response we heard online was great. The journalists were really into it. And we picked up a lot of fans, but we really wanted to have the live experience too. At least I did. It's like we were invited for instance, Hammer of Doom. And I think it got scheduled and canceled, or the same with Up the Hammer, scheduled and canceled, scheduled and postponed, scheduled and postponed. And it was like, God, when are we going to get to play Europe?
Yeah.
It was really hard. But then, eventually we did make it over there in 2022, and it was finally great. And then, we see all these people who had been waiting to see us, and they've been cooped up in their houses too. And so it almost added to the excitement of it, I think. I don't know, Andy, did you want to say something about that?
Yeah. I mean, by the time we got around to playing the shows that had been scheduled initially to support the self-titled record, we were playing songs at those fests that were going to be on the next record, and it was, it was exciting for us because we wanted to play some new material for us. There were people in the audience who everything was new, and then there were fans in the audience who had been waiting to see us play for a few years, and it was a surprise for them to get to hear songs that they hadn't heard yet too. So yeah, it was a wild couple of years of waiting in anticipation to play those shows, but well worth it.
Yeah.
What's the band's normal writing process in terms of putting the songs together, and then like your rehearsal schedule, that kind of thing?
Well, there really isn't it's kind of a work in progress. It's kind of evolving over time. I think it started with, well, the demo was written by all of those guys. One of the songs had lyrics written for it. Two of the songs had lyrics written for it, and then I wrote lyrics for one. But the first album was mostly the guys working in the studio, writing the songs and then handing it over to me. In some cases, I wrote things on piano, and then it was translated into guitar. That was more of a thing in the second album, where we had multiple approaches to creating songs. And in some cases, some of the stuff I wrote on piano was actually handed over to our bassist Eric, who translated into guitar, and then the guys got together and then figured it out. And then rehearsal is kind of, I mean, we're all really busy people, and then we have an issue with geography because Eric lives in Oregon. We're all kind of spread out, and so we kind of just, hammer it down when we're getting ready to play a string of shows. But it's kind of sporadic. Beyond that, we would of course like to get into the studio a lot more to start writing album number 3, and hopefully that'll be happening soon.
Excellent.
Melissa, I got a question for you.
Sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
No. It's okay. We can bounce back and forth too. Just, I wanted to ask you specifically on vocals, because as I listen to the debut and then I jump over to Funeral, it seems like, I know you just mentioned you were used to playing in cover bands and tribute bands, and you were a little out of your element with the debut, but it seems like you really hit your stride and really opened up on Funeral for a King. Would you kind of agree with that, or did you have a different goal set for yourself when it came to recording those vocals?
Well, I mean, I think the goal I set out for myself was just to expand my range and expand the, just the dynamic quality. Because, obviously I don't want to rely too much on what critics say, but there were a lot of comments about how my range was pretty narrow and that it could be a lot more exciting. And so I started working with a coach after the first album came out, just to kind of expand my vocals a little bit. And it was just a personal goal for myself too, just to become a better musician.
I gotcha, sure.
So
plus Melissa was involved for the entire writing process of the second record. And we had the time under our belt of hearing how she was singing and how we could take more advantage of that in the writing process. So really, like, the second record is that's why it seems a little different than the first one. It's because that is a more natural like landing spot for all of us when we're working together, as opposed to the first one. Half the songs were written before Melissa was in the band,
right,
and the rest of the album is not trying to sound vastly different from that. So she was still figuring out like her style a little bit with us, and we had our own styles that had not yet been affected by years of playing with her. So yeah, just the second record really is a more natural fit for all of us when we work together.
It seems even song structure wise, and everything's just so much more tighter, but flows so much more openly. It's a good gradual step in the right direction from where anybody would debut.
And to add on to that, the dynamic range that like Mike was talking about is like there's a vibe to the record. I think there's more variation in the in the tempos, and there's just I like both records, but I really like this new record a lot. I like the jumping from the slower riffs into the quicker riffs, and I love some of the little segues and the violin, you know, piano pieces in there. Um, Let Thy Snares Be Planted in Blood Red Eyes, like those are super cool.
Yeah.
Thank
I
you.
think they add to the overall. Like I was listening to the record, I'm like, wow, it's something like it strikes you like you're listening to the record, you're getting into it, and then something like that comes out of the speaker, and you're like, it's cool because again, going back to the whole idea of doom metal and epic doom metal, it's something that you don't, man, I just don't think like you hear an awful lot of bands like branching out there are these little things you can do that really like increase the replayability of a record. And I think that's really, I mean, like I said, the whole thing's really cool, and those little things like
Yeah.
all along the way, it just sounds like like a band, like you guys grew together, and there's just a dynamism in just this is the record here. Melissa has it behind her. This is Funeral for a King. Everyone should go out and get this. This is a great record.
Hell yeah.
And like I love the art on this. I can't get you get
Chris Verwin.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
tremendous. And like here's your insert, and then where'd it go? Oh, it fell. My bad.
Dropped the poster.
I love the extra stuff like on the inside, man. I mean, this stuff is, get your handy dandy
Yep.
Yeah.
poster there. So this is like really like well put together. All the lyrics are on the inside on the gate. Look at it. In metal, man.
Yeah, and Rico just, provides us tremendous support in many ways, but that's one of them, is that he puts out a quality package for people to enjoy. And
100%.
And the contents of the LP is definitely a big part of that. So we appreciate the label for helping us with that.
Big support from him on like the production side for that. And then I also really appreciate that he doesn't have like get in the way of what we're wanting to do in terms of like writing. He's just so supportive of how it's all coming out. The other thing I wanted to say about the second record, you had mentioned Blood Red Eyes. That's a good example of something that we had we felt a little freer on the second record, since it was now we had the time under our belt and we were comfortable with what we were doing, to just make certain decisions musically where it was like, I don't know that other people would do this automatically, but is this fun? Like, do we enjoy this? And that Blood Red Eyes, the way that initially started is that was a song that Melissa had brought to us, and it's on piano, and had handed it off to Eric to start converting that into like a traditional doom metal song. And he would come to rehearsal. A lot of the times that would work is then we would rehearse without Melissa to try to like, we have to, get this figured out. She doesn't need to be there while we're just, getting the bones of this thing put together. And I was not ever happy with how any of it was sounding, not because it wasn't good, but I liked what she had sent us on piano so much. And that eventually I started just saying to the guys, like, can this just be Melissa and piano and just singing? Like, the demo she sent us is good, and it's a doom record. There's not a reason that this can't exist on here. And why make the song worse just so that there can be distorted guitars, And so we decided that's what we were going to do. And she recorded it, and it's great. It's a nice little like breath on the record to get ready for what's coming on the second half. So
Yeah,
Very much so.
it was a huge risk because I was like, I'll be honest, I was terrified when that record came out because I thought we were truly going to get hammered on that song. But
That
people got it, they
yeah.
understood it and they
Yeah, I mean,
accepted it because
Mel-
Doom, it doesn't have to be one particular way. It can be many different ways, and
yeah.
Right.
people understood that, and I was blown away with the response.
Melissa is good at hearing input from outside sources and like interpreting that to us how she thinks maybe things should change. And I think one of my roles is to go, I don't care about any of that.
Yeah.
Well, but
Do I like this?
Right.
yeah, I mean, I understand that, but I think that the
No, it's a good
reviewers did
dynamic
have
that yeah.
the reviewers did have some helpful feedback. I mean, that's one of the reasons why the songs are a lot tighter in the second album
Yeah.
is because one of the things that the reviewers said is that the songs are too long. And at first we were kind of like, well, it's Doom.
Right.
That's the way it is, but then like, okay, let's take a step back and see how we can tighten this and tighten that. And I think we ultimately benefited from it.
Definitely.
And you still have some songs that, have a lot of meat to them lengthwise that work beautifully with the flow of the rest of the album with, the different times. I want to touch on one thing that Butch had mentioned too. With the new album, you guys have really created a really expansive atmosphere with the album through and through, which I'm a sucker for that. I love to be able to just completely submerge myself in a listening experience. And I just wanted to say, from thy snares being planted right into the bargain is, for me, that's like cinematic genius. That, for me, I was like, this is like Karloff, Lon Chaney type horror vibe. It just, that I love that whole segue in, between those two songs. So can you kind of tell us how that came about as far as those two go?
The Bargain was a song that the guys worked on in the studio, and they brought it to me, and I was searching for what the lyrics should focus on, and I came up with Faust, and then Rhett, I'm trying to remember back, but I want to say after that song was written, Rhett says this song could use an intro of some sort. And I said, I have the perfect idea for this. And I was thinking about Faust and the creepy violin music that you usually associate with that. And that brought me to the movie Tombstone. And I explained this in a recent video series that I did, but I mean, it basically, I was like, okay, this is completely out of my comfort zone. And so I called up a friend of mine who plays violin and I said, here's what I'm looking for. And I sent her like a couple of classical Dance Macabre. I sent her Tombstone. I sent her a bunch of different things. I said, can you create something that's like this weird gypsy type of stuff? And she says, okay. And so, she kind of sat down with it and we went back and forth on arrangements. And I said, okay, I like this. Let's piece it together. And a lot of work went into that 1 minute of music. But I think, it definitely is a memorable moment on that record. So
Very much so. Definitely.
That's Ann Heckman.
yes, that's Anne Hackman. And Let Thy Snares Be Planted is actually a line from one of the Faust plays. And I thought this is the perfect line for it. So it worked out well.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, that bit is cool. And to go back to Blood Red Eyes, I think we're all on the same page, that heavy to me comes in a variety of forms, and it doesn't have to always be beating you over the head sonically to be heavy. Like that song to me is like so somber and heavy, and it's such a, like I said, it's a bold choice to do that, to put a song like that on the record. But the bands, like, this is one of the things that if you look at the records that a lot of us grew up with, if you look at a band like Budgie that would have these crushing, beat you over the head sledgehammer songs and then put this little folky ballad in between them, or Priest would have, they'd go from something heavy into Here Come the Tears, and
Yeah.
What happens when you do that is you bring it down like sonically in this you know, a little bit more mellow, moody thing, and then it makes the heavier stuff stand out
Yeah,
in
so
opposition to it.
dynamics.
Like it,
Mhm.
yeah, it's so yeah, it really works really well on the record. Um,
Yeah, I know you said it was a little bit of a gamble to put that on there, but I think it paid off huge.
Thank you.
I think that, you know, that's one of the things that I think is to go with what Andy said. I mean, when you're making music for yourself and for your band, um, that you all like, it's fun. Like taking those risks together is part of the fun of it. You know, doing it, like get ready to put it out there, and then seeing, you know, seeing how it goes. And but ultimately, if all of you dig it, that's the main thing. And then nerds like Mike and I
Yeah,
love it too.
we're all it's a very comfortable atmosphere in the studio and just being in this band. Everybody knows that they can say what they really feel about any part of a song, and they don't have to be judgmental about it, and you don't have to feel like you're being judged. And sometimes that's going to be something you don't necessarily want to hear, and other times it's going to be something like that where it's like, yeah, I know it's scary, but all the other four of us like this, so it's got to go on the record. Sorry. Like,
Yeah.
you're playing piano and singing without us.
That works out good though.
There's
Melissa, what's oh sorry, go ahead, Andy.
well, yeah, when you're in that process, there's nobody else for you to rely on. So you just have to have like that honesty with yourself and with each other. And if you like it, that's all you can be doing. The other people are going to tell you what they think later. And then at that point, there's nothing you can do. Record's already made. So
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, it's like, you know, all those people we're all just individuals. So everyone out there, like everyone's a critic nowadays on that with how interconnected the world is. So it's there's all kind of opinions all the time, and um I don't know. It's I'm on that it's a lesson I think I've myself personally have learned over the years to kind of like it's hard to find that spot where you funnel in the information coming from outside that, oh, this is useful to me, or that then the information from outside that's like, oh, that's just noise.
Yeah.
Like it depends on who it's coming from, or oh, is this person surly all the time? Like they don't like anything, or oh, this person likes everything.
Yeah.
So, Melissa, I was going to ask you, in terms of the songwriting. So let's talk about the lyrics for a few minutes. What's your process like? What's your inspiration? What do you draw from for your lyric writing?
Yeah, so you know the name of the band derives from Conan. And I know very little about Conan. So I was like, well, I said, Rhett, how about this? You know, Stygian Crown, Stygia relates to Greek mythology. You know, how about we focus on the monsters of various mythologies and portray them in a way where people see them in a light that they didn't expect, you know, that, you know, where monsters aren't always a bad thing, that they have perspectives that you may not have considered. That was on album one. So it was a combination of Egyptian, Norse, and Greek mythology throughout that record. And then record two kind of broke out of the mythology thing and expanded into historical figures. So the opening track is Bushido, which has to do with Hiro Onoda, who was a World War II holdout, you know, and his experience and what he went through. You know, Faust, of course, is about Faust, and then you know, the closing track, Strait of Messina, it has to do with Scylla and Charybdis, which is also from Greek mythology. So it's kind of all over the place now. But so that's the focus, is that I hear a song and I kind of get a sense of what that song should be about or who that song should be about. And then I start doing research. And then I kind of go from there. So
Do you write is your process to write specifically for the song? You've all worked on music together, you're given music, and then you start writing lyrics? Or are you the type of lyricist that carries around a book and is always writing stuff
No,
down?
no, I've found that writing that way kind of imprisons you. It makes it harder for you to adapt lyrics to a song, and I don't really like doing it that way because I feel like, what I try to write around is the chorus always, and
Right.
so when I hear the chorus in a song, that's when, I know what the song is going to be about, and I write it around that. Everything else is, figuring out melody later. Um, Rhett is really strict about keeping everything rhyming, his rhyme scheme. He's really particular about that. And so I make sure I stick with that. Um, but yeah, so I always write to the song.
I know before we all got together, Andy and I were talking a little bit, and he mentioned that there are some rough demos for album number 3 coming up. Have you got some lyrical ideas to already go along with that, or are we still like quite a bit of ways from that yet?
Um, well, I mean, things can change obviously, but one song that we have worked on um is about the Minotaur. Um, and I bring this up because I'm actually going to go to Crete next year and explore the labyrinth myself.
Oh, nice.
And so yeah, so it's kind of going to give me another dimension to a song. So hopefully that song works out.
She had some good
Um,
inspiration for it, that's for sure.
yeah, and then there's also been talk about doing some things related to Conan. Um, so I mean, um, on the side, I wrote a kind of a different song, not in the vein of Blood Red Eyes, but something that's a little bit more mellow, called the Tree of Woe. So we'll see if that works out too. But so these are all just ideas that could
Sure.
change. It could get scrapped. I had ideas on the second album that got scrapped, but and it was for the betterment. It was for the better of the record ultimately.
Sure.
But so we're working on things.
Let me ask this, and you guys can both, chime in on this. We're going to kind of look ahead. When album number 3 does materialize, of course, you always want to get out to support it. Now, I know that, the pandemic really, screwed things up, with the first album, and then it was almost like you were supporting 2 albums at the same time once things open back up. So in a sense, you guys are going to have a clean slate to get out and promote album number 3 when that happens. What are your thoughts as far as getting out on the road? Because Butch and I have talked about this with other people too, and unfortunately, it is ridiculous for artists these days to get out and about, not just in the
Yeah.
States, but even just to get to Europe and back. So
Mhm.
are you guys, is this in the back of your head on how you can plan something like that out?
So everything is way more expensive now than it was 5 years ago.
Yep.
And there's a lot of, and I don't want to get into politics, but there's a lot of things that have changed in recent times
Sure.
that have made it, especially harder for overseas bands to come here. And a lot of times, festivals revolve around that, and a lot of them no longer have the ability to do that, or it's a lot more risky.
Sure.
So the landscape has changed quite a bit. We're very, aware of that. This tour that we just went on was extremely expensive. There were so many costs involved with this. We made it work and it was a good experience, but I mean, I think it'll be a while before we do that again. We would definitely like to support the new album with
Mhm.
something, whether that's a bunch of fly-ins or local shows or something like that. I don't know. I mean, Rhett's kind of the mastermind in planning all of those sorts of things. But we are definitely aware that things are way more expensive. And it's beyond just playing shows. It comes down to, physical copies. Like the
Sure.
cost of printing a vinyl is way more now than it used to be. And so record labels are very aware of that, and they have to make some hard decisions sometimes.
Right.
In who they sign and and how many runs of physical copies they do. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. Andy, did you want to address that one too, or?
No, I think you're kind of nailing it. Something that is true now that was a little different even 5 years ago is um, going out for weeks at a time, or even 10 days. Those middle dates in the middle of the week can be very pricey because there either are no shows
Right.
in the middle of the week because no venue, they don't want to be open on those days, and or you'll book something and then you're hoping that it's going to do well, and you might like you have killer shows Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Thursday, but those middle dates can be really, really costly, and everything is expensive, that it becomes cheaper to just say, let's just fly somewhere 2 weekends in a row.
Yeah.
And it'll be cheaper to do that. We'll sell as much merch as we would have in the full week, and it'll cost us less. So yeah, like just the dynamics of touring now are different.
The one thing I also wanted to mention is that the cost of seeing international bands now is ginormous compared to the way it was with Ticketmaster and everything else post-pandemic. And so people in this economy are having to make really hard decisions about what shows they go to see.
Sure.
And so if there's any takeaway from this, I hope that people, if they're seeing this, please support the underground, because if it's not, if you guys aren't there watching shows and then these festivals are going to die. And I know
we're seeing really cool festivals.
Yeah, I mean, 2 of the festivals that we played on this last tour, they were the last editions of those. So I think that that's a really, that should be a statement that everybody, can see. It's like, whoa, well, maybe we should reconsider going to this XYZ show that costs $300 to get a front row seat, and go to, 3 underground festivals that'll cost $60 a piece,
Right.
and that'll sustain the scene, and hopefully it will grow new festivals as well. So I mean, that's one point I really wanted to make, is that yes, Ticketmaster, I don't know what the ticket selling services are overseas, it's making everything a lot more expensive, but if you want the underground to live, please go to shows. That's all I can say about that.
And I think Butch and I have always been on the same page with that too. And I promoted for a very long time, and it always bothered me that people are willing to pay the cost of what a family vacation would be to go see Metallica for the 47th time, rather than pay way less and in some cases see 30 bands and, introduce yourself to new music and things like that. It's like people unfortunately get to a certain age, I guess, and they just become stagnant. Whereas, a lot of the people we're involved with, we crave new music. We need it all the time. And I think that's something that's really kind of fallen by the wayside. I'd like to think that some of the younger kids are starting to bring that back, it seems. And I know the scene in Europe is different. It seems like this type of music and heavy music in general really never fell out of favor. I mean, it seems like some of the festivals there are even, growing bigger. I think Wacken sold out in like record time this year or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just that here it's like this ebb and flow in the States of people remembering and then forgetting this lesson. That's like what you're talking about. You can, if you just like underground music, it's good. And I remember when I was in high school, it was something that I knew that none of my friends seemed to know. They would always complain like they didn't have money to go to shows. It was like, I'm going to shows every weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's costing me, and back then it was like, it's costing me $5.
Yep, exactly.
And it's down the street. I ride my bike, or I drive, it's not a big deal,
Yeah.
and the people will remember, because
Yes.
Ticketmaster is run by a bunch of evil ghouls who don't care about music. Spotify's run by a bunch of evil ghouls who don't care about music.
Yeah.
And eventually the only thing that'll be left is the underground, or like 2 of the top, artists that own and control everything themselves, because these corporations they just do not care about music or art at all. They don't. Ticketmaster doesn't view their business as selling access to music shows, and Spotify doesn't view their business model as selling or hosting music. It's all content and data, and they're just they're evil people.
Yeah, it's all about the quarterly report.
Yeah. And and on top of all of that, I think what you deal with when you're outside of like real music, like, you know, knots, like, is I always tell the conversation I have with people, and I think maybe it was Mike, you just said that the fan base is kind of aging. And here's one of the tough things with traditional metal is that although we do see I see good, some hopeful signs among younger people that they're latching on to more traditional forms of metal. There's, we've talked to a couple bands that are really good and up and coming, that they're all young. And the issue is, it's like, I got a bunch of friends that love a lot of this music, and then you say, hey, I'm going to see Stygian Crown and down at the Poetry Lounge. When is it? It's Wednesday night. I gotta work the next day. It's like, you either want to see a band or you don't. It's like, either you want to go out and support, or if you don't go, I don't know. That's me. I mean, it's not for me to judge other people's lives. It's tough for some people.
People have the energy they have, or they've got the reasons they have. But I get asked all the time, because I've got 3 kids. I've got a job that's very demanding of my time besides that. And I get asked constantly, like, how do you have time to be in a band? And it's like, I want to be. So, like, but I don't go to bed at 10 o'clock at night. Like, okay, I get to be in a band, travel the world, and then also have this fun family with these young kids, and also get to go have this cool job. It's just like, how much are you willing to sacrifice, like, comfort to do that? Yeah, you got to work in the morning. Okay, do you want to see a cool band play or not? Like, I guess for a lot of people, the answer is no. But
be tired for the day, man. That's what I'm like. You sleep the next night. That's what.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what sucks too about that is a lot of the venues and the bands themselves, at least in my area, are catching on to that. And even if it's weekend shows where it's, the prime days to have a show, they're starting way earlier. And, shows that used to go till 1 a.m. are like done. You're out the door by 11.
Oh, yeah.
And that even seems to not be appealing to a lot of people. And that just drives me crazy, because, like, okay, say you're in bed by 10, go see the band that you want to see. You're out the door by 11. So you lost an hour, 90 minutes of sleep. You got to see that band. But the logic is just not there when it comes to that. And that's maddening for me.
People will figure it out again. We're just in this state right now where, because of the state of the world, and also just these little things that we get to hold in our hand that are, battling for our attention and winning that battle. It's just hard for people to be motivated to go to a show or to do anything, really.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even just shows. Like, how do I get to play in a D&D campaign every weekend? I make it a priority and do it. Like, it's anything you want to do. Is it a priority to you that is winning the war against, winning the war of attention against your phone, or against just other things?
Yeah.
Very true. Good point. Good point, Andy.
Sure. What was I going to ask? I don't think I heard. I was going to ask something, and now I'm like, see, this is an old man's mind. Yeah.
I'm right there with you, and you know it.
I guess I was just to jump on the touring thing. Are there and talking about Europe? I mean, I think we all recognize, like Mike was saying, that Europe has never really totally given up on metal, but there's definitely more of a vibe for this kind of music over there. I think the tough thing with Europe sometimes is it seems like anymore, you can't just, by the time you find out about a fest and you get in touch with them, they're like already planning like 3 years down the road, instead of,
definitely.
it's not like the planning is so far out anymore. And then for bands that are up and coming and growing, the issue you run into during the festival season is you could land on fests on the weekends, and then you go to try to stitch them together with shows during the week, and no one's booking shows because everyone says it's festival season. No one's going to the shows during the weekdays. So that anyway, that all that being kind of thrown on the table, is there anything like brewing, like knowing that you have to plan ahead to get back for the band to get back over to Europe and play a couple fests and string some shows together to try to start push the record?
Well, I mean, we would most definitely like to play Europe again. It's just a matter of finding the right promoter and the right fit. I was in Greece this last March and talked with a promoter who puts on a fest in Athens. And he said, "Hey, I could probably help you with some additional dates in here in Greece and also in Europe." So, I mean, you never know. I mean, that could work out. It could be 3 dates, it could be 2 dates, it could be 5 dates. And a lot of it just comes down to logistics. We would very much like to partner with a booking agency at some point to help us with these types of logistics, but finding the right fit is a challenge. Because, especially if you're not one of these bands that's drawing, 1,000 people in a big club every night, they want a guarantee, they want a sure thing. And, so it's kind of like a double-edged sword. But I mean, we're always looking at opportunities. I'm always emailing festival promoters to see if they have interest in Epic Doom. So we are working on it.
Awesome.
Yeah, it seems like you almost have to have 2 festival appearances as your bookends just to even hope to break even with, lighter attendance during the week. It seems like that's almost the template these days.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we did with this East Coast tour is we
Right.
started with Stormbringer, ended with Maryland Doomfest. With Europe, I don't know. It's like you said, promoters, they won't want to book their own. They won't want to put together their own event if it's in too close proximity geographically or in time to another festival, because that divides your ticket sales.
Yeah.
So I mean, we'll just, it's just a matter of timing, I guess, and persistence. So we're working on it.
And then in terms of the next record, I know this one just came out this year, so forgive me for asking, but what are the goals in terms of when you'd like, there's a 4-year gap between, and don't get me wrong, you can't rush art or anything like that. I mean, you want to put out the best record you can, but are you looking to have something out in a shorter span? It's not like follow up this record and jump on the momentum from this one, or is it just one of those things like when you don't even think about time frames at all? When you have the material and when it's together is when it's done.
I mean, because of everybody, the way it's, I mean, I think it was longer between the first and second record because of the pandemic, but there is not necessarily like a rush of we have to get this done. It's more of eventually, I mean, we just kind of chip away at it, and then there's some tipping moment where you're like, okay, now I can kind of see how this is going. I have a feel for what we're trying to do, and then there's a ton of momentum, and it becomes a lot easier, and the ideas that come out of that just feel better. When too much of it is like pre-planned and we're rushing it, a lot of that stuff gets scrapped later anyway.
Gotcha.
Some of that you have to do just because you're trying to get some momentum going, but
right.
Yeah.
I just here's another question, like kind of, it's actually unrelated to that. It just deals with in general, when you're not listening to metal, and I know we all listen to metal 23 out of 24 hours a day. But in that 24th hour, what now, like in general, what do each of you dig, like, metal wise, and then, what are your guilty pleasures, as they say, like when you're not like when you have time to just sit and listen to stuff.
Mhm.
You know, new stuff. Is there new stuff you're into, or you're mostly like a creature of old habit? It's an open forum, free to.
Yeah, no, for me, I mean, I'm either listening to, I go through phases. So like kind of throughout the day too. If I'm doing something, either driving or working, and I really have to have a lot of attention on what I'm doing, I tend to listen to a lot of like old favorites, things that I can just put on, and it just is relaxing and comforting because I've heard it so many times. I listen to newer stuff typically if I have the time to kind of really give it the attention that I want it to have, and that'll be like maybe on the drive home as opposed to like the drive to work.
Right.
I also have kids who and a Korean wife, so there's a lot of K-pop at the house, and K-pop Demon Hunters right now is taking up a large portion of my listening time, which is fine.
How old are your kids, Andy?
4, 7, and 9.
Okay.
And they all are very good. I come home from work and they have to show me the dance that they've worked on, and so that's
Nice.
choreographed dance.
Great.
And it's awesome.
That's outstanding.
But yeah, and if I need something like more meditative and calming, I listen to a lot of Heilung. They're great for just kind of getting my like the bodily rhythm kind of just centered again and feeling focused. Then put Bolt Thrower on when it's time to like relic a guitar or something.
Nice. About you, Melissa?
Well, okay, so I listen because of my job. I work in public relations, so I spend a lot of my time in the car listening to the news. But when I'm not listening to the news, it's it's all over the place. I really love Bay Area thrash. I really love Oriental metal. I'm representing Orphan Land here. And of course, the traditional stuff from the 80s. I mean, of course, Ozzy, Judas Priest, Iron Maiden. I'm a huge Maiden fan. And then like in terms of other genres, it's kind of all over the place. There's pretty much nothing that I don't like other than maybe country. But it's like classic rock, jazz, classical music, EDM. It's like just about anything you can imagine. I've probably checked out at some point. Reggae, I really like that too. So yeah, diverse.
That's good. I guess we could. I'll throw one in there too. I don't know if you want to use this as a wrap up, but each of you one desert island album.
Live After Death.
Nice.
Selection.
Well, like like a song off of it, or what do you mean?
Oh no, I was just saying that's a good selection. That
a good I just heard selection. I was like, oh, am I doing this wrong?
No, we're gonna narrow it down.
Yeah.
What song off the record and what section of that song and
minute?
Why is it the middle of Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner when Bruce sings and then down it falls comes the rain and the drums swell and it sounds like they're coming from 10 miles away and they get closer in the mix and the thunder and the storm into the big riff.
It's very well documented that that's Butch's absolute favorite part.
Tell them about the guitar you designed, Andy.
Oh, yeah. So like my actual day job is I'm a master builder at Fender Custom Shop, and
oh nice.
So 2 years ago I got hit up by Iron Maiden to make Dave Murray a guitar for their tour, and so he's been using that on their last couple tours as his new number one.
Wow!
So that's been pretty cool. It's like one of my all-time guitar heroes. Getting to build for him is really cool.
Man,
That's
that's
tremendous.
that's incredible. You have to have like a real sense of pride every time you see a picture and you're like, "Yep, I built that."
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
he would text us photos like, check out, he played this last night.
Yeah, the other guitar player Nelson was like, "You don't have to text me every time you see a photo of Dave playing the guitar." I'm
And
like,
you're
"Yes, I
like,
do.
"Yes, I do."
I will.
You
I do,
should.
and I will."
And
You should
didn't
until
one
the
of
end
his
of time.
didn't one of his texts say like that was one of his favorite guitars to play on that tour or something?
Oh yeah, he moved it to his number one, so it's his main guitar he plays now.
That's
Oh,
so
man.
awesome. That's so
Man.
awesome.
Wow.
Well, maybe we can get Stygian Crown on opening for them instead of Avatar
How about
one of
it?
these days, or one of these other.
I mean, I'd do
Yeah.
it.
I second
They're-
that.
Their selection of opening bands are not so great. But my
It's rough.
Desert Island album would definitely be Peace of Mind. So,
Oh,
so
another good one. All right.
Both made in.
All maiden on this island.
It's
Well, before we
That's
wrap it
great.
up, is there anything else that you guys might want to touch on or promote or just throw out there for anybody?
I don't know. I hope if people are seeing this and they haven't heard the new record yet, or either of the records, check those out. We're pretty proud of them.
As you should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
StygianCrown.bandcamp.com. But not just
Mhm.
us, but please support the underground. There's a band for just about anything that you could possibly be a fan of. So, please support the scene to keep it alive.
Definitely. And we'll make sure we put all of the necessary links in the description so everybody can not only find you, but find product and the albums and everything else related to the band.
Cool.
Thank you so much for having us on the show, guys. I appreciate it.
It's been an
we wanna
absolute
thank-
pleasure.
Yeah, thank you, Melissa and Andy, for being here with us, for taking the time, out of your night and away from your kids, and everyone out there. Again, we said it, Stygian Crown, Funeral for a Quick King. Like, check this record out, go pick it up. Get on Band. It's available on Bandcamp.
Yes.
Get on Bandcamp, grab this record. If you get a chance to see the band live, I saw them live twice personally. It was they put on a great show. So please go see them, support them any chance you get.
And let us know if you'd like to see Argus and Stygian Crown pair up on the road.
I do.
There we go.
I would do it in a heartbeat.
That would be
Or even for one
phenomenal
show, not necessarily a tour.
I'll make it a tour. Make it a tour.
I have to wrestle 4 other guys to the ground, wrestle their schedules to the ground, but
yeah,
that would be fun.
Yeah,
for sure.
Well, you're both more than welcome to jump on anytime in the future, when the new album comes out or anything related. If you want to talk about it, Butch and I are here. Just let us know.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
When you guys are on the road, if you come out this way too, just tell you in advance, mi casa es su casa, so no need to stay at a Holiday Inn or anything like that.
Oh, cool.
There you go.
Well, we'll probably take you up on that.
We'll keep the light on for you.
There you go.
Excellent.
All right, everybody. We will see you on the very next
Yeah.
episode of For the Sake
For the sake of
of
heaviness. Heaviness.